By the way, in the tier list of drinks, soft drinks, glass bottle Coke is top.
Glass bottle. Why is it
Coke in a
better
glass
than
bottle? I'm saying is like top of the soft drinks tier list.
Everyone fucking says that as well.
Yeah.
It's in the top 5.
It tastes like better than anything else.
It's in the top 5.
I don't really care about drinks like that.
It also
Like,
it depends, man.
Plastic bottle shit. Though.
I just want a glass of tap water.
That's not even in the top 10.
No, I'm talking about like soft drinks though.
That's not even in the top 10. Buying that in Spain puts it in the top 7.
Yeah, Mexican Coke.
Mexican Coke is like top
But
3,
I
bro.
can't drink that because as a diabetic,
Yeah.
it's just like the sugar content like
It's
quadruple.
cane sugar as opposed
It's
to
like mental.
so it's like super sweet.
Sounds rank.
No,
Apparently
it's
bangs,
it's a
though,
game
yeah.
changer, bruv. Mexican
I was
Cola.
going to say it's still got cocaine in it for a second.
No.
That's a shame.
Anyway, welcome to the show. Couple things as always. YouTube gang, leave a comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we do new uploads. Also, shout out to, I'm not going to show the rest of the t-shirt because it's got a stain on it, but shout out to Culture Collective, which is our friend Kate's brand. So I would do a shout out for wicked t-shirts, custom made, high quality. Shout out them.
Bang.
What else? Spotify listeners, leave a rating, and also just keep sending us questions as well, man. We love it. And then finally, we have got a Patreon exclusive episodes now available, and
shout out the Patreon gang,
our
man.
socials.
follow the socials. But
Send us questions.
Get involved.
Yeah.
get involved. We're gonna make this one snappy. We've just recorded an absolute banger episode, which may or may not be out by this point. I don't know.
It's past our bedtime.
So we're gonna make this one snappy. We had a few questions for this episode from you, the crowd, the Amen Brethren. So we're just gonna run through them, like a few questions. I think it'll be quick, but I like the fact this one is also two things. Played a bunch of shows recently. Always love people coming up to me saying hello, blah, 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 whatever, introduce themselves. Shout out everyone that's mentioned the podcast, which is a lot of you now.
Yeah, I really like this trend. Everybody just keep referring to John as the guy from the podcast.
Yeah. But the ratio of like conversations now that are just like Galaxy based versus like the podcast is crazy. Like I was in Bristol last weekend and one of my friends was with me and he was like, he commented on how mad it was, how many people were saying about who like people that love the podcast. So like honestly, big up everyone for that.
Thanks, gang.
Means a lot.
Also, someone humbled Jack at some point.
As well. Someone called Jack the podcast guy.
Yeah, you're just the guy from the podcast.
Yeah, go on, bring it on.
He's the last guy. I was the first guy to get it.
And I think I want to say another shout out to the guy. I think we shouted out before, but 985 Boat Party, Hospitality on the Beach. A girl came up to me and Rich was like, I love the podcast and I especially love the mundane like sandwich chat. It was an actual comment.
Oh yeah,
That was a good episode, man.
Yeah.
We got some shit for that on social media, man.
Yeah, well, the reason I said that is because the first question is like a mundane question, which I love.
Yeah.
Which is favourite home cooked meal from Lower D&B. So what's your favourite home cooked meal?
Ooh.
I think I have an answer already, and I think it's an easy one. Like my mum's Jamaican, so like whenever I go home and she can be bothered, like she's got lazy in her old age. I will say this about my mum. Like she doesn't hook up the proper like spreads like she used to. Mum, if you're watching this, you know, get back on it. Faye, come on. But when she can, like when she's on it and she wants to do the whole like just Caribbean spread, I can't really ask for more than that, to be honest. So
I mean, I remember like because I'm obviously mad for Caribbean food.
Yeah,
I'd always be like trying to order it when we lived together. And you'd be like, sometimes you just get a fish and chips and shit. And I'll be like, what are you doing, bro? You literally be like, it ain't my mum's fucking cooking, bro. So fuck it.
It's funny actually, like a couple of people at my office are also Caribbean. We all say the same thing, like that's one of our least ordered like takeaways.
Crazy to me,
I guess the same thing, like if you're Italian, like realistically you're never gonna beat your like grandma's Italian.
I get it, but what about when you know the spots? Like,
No,
but mad research.
I know, because like I've for a long time have always sworn like, but getting a roast out and about is a waste of time and money. No, see, you say no, but
I love how the English equivalent, by the way.
Yeah, no, that
Sunday
is.
roast,
It is, isn't it?
Got many
beans on toast
fish
spot
and
over there.
chips, fam.
It is it's the English equivalent. Like no one's ever going to touch my mum or dad's roasts, right? So like, I'm not spending £25 on a dead ass roast that's not even going to come close to my mum or dad's.
Thing is, man, you come country where I live, brother, and that they're going to fucking
fair.
Also,
But I'm not.
people's Temper roast is banging. I think I told you about it before. That restaurant Temper's a few of them. Anyway, Temper roast is sick.
But yeah, I mean, my favourite home cooked
this
meal.
podcast,
Is it home cooked meal? Are we talking about like your parents got to cook it, or you can cook it yourself? Just generally
A home cooked meal.
Yeah,
Mine would by a long shot be my mum's lasagna.
Nice.
Slaps. But then also my sister-in-law, because she knows how much me and my brothers love my mum's lasagna, she started cooking this. It's like a Greek or Turkish take on a lasagna.
Nice.
And I don't really know what's different about it, but it's sick. I love it.
Spice combinations, probably.
Yeah, I mean, flavor-wise, there's definitely something going on there with the seasoning and stuff with that mince.
I had a similar experience, actually. Like my sister's wedding, so my brother-in-law's Ghanaian, innit? My sister's wedding, they did like a combination of like Jamaican and Ghanaian food. So it was like jerk chicken and jollof rice, which was like the craziest combo of food. Like, it was ridiculous. So that's one of the best, like, again, in that region I've had as well. Go on, Rich, what's yours?
Mine would probably be like my own take on like a brown stew, which isn't like a traditional brown stew, but it's just the way I cook like a whole chicken.
9,000 Scotch bonnets.
Yeah, like it's obviously going to be hot. And then like roasting the chicken, like sort of jerking and roasting the chicken, and then making a veggie brown stew, and then combining the two together. It's just this technique I don't know really. I just fashioned it out of nowhere, and I've fed it to a fair amount of people, and it's like
you're a bit of a chef, aren't you, mate?
Sometimes
you do like to cook. I do see you in your stories, mate. I've
got a bit lazy more recently, but also I made one thing more recently. I've been making is my Korean wings are powerful, and also I did a bimbap, which is fucking tech, and I made a fucking really good beef bimbap. One of those 3 things.
Nice.
Gosh.
All right, now I've got more like drum and bass related questions. I don't know how to say this username. I never know how to say username sometimes. You lot have wild names. Like this one's like lopet.har. So lopetahar, lopet. I don't know.
Lopetahar.
That's all right.
What do you think of live instruments for shows? And I'm going to assume you mean within drum and bass. Personally, I think it's cheesy 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10. I have heard instances where it works really well, and I guess it really depends on how the music was originally written as well. I think
that I think that's probably. Yeah.
I think like, so for example, Fabio and Groove Rider and the Outlook Orchestra, amazing.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
But like that's like the 1 out of 10. Whereas like when I don't want to hear a live guitar solo unless it's Pendulum, because they wrote it that originally. Yeah. I don't want to hear a live guitar solo over like a normal drum and bass tune.
I'm kind of the same here. I mean, like with Kino, for example, I was at Liquidity Festival over the weekend and saw Kino play, and he does his piano sets now. And because of the way Kino writes his music,
it makes sense.
It really, really works. Yeah, it's really vibey, and it's a marvel to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say that if it's intended to be the approach from the sort of conception of the music to how it's going to be delivered.
Yeah,
then I guess it works. But if it's almost shoehorned on, it can feel a bit tacky, can't it?
And I think honestly, when you look back, and this is not to dig out Chasing Status because there's Chasing Status, but like, I remember when back in the day when they were starting to break through into the mainstream, a lot of their stuff was like live band based. But I only think they did that to make it more palatable for their mainstream, if that makes sense. So actually, it takes away from how good the song is, but because it's a live band, then like,
but I mean that's subjective though, isn't it? Because now all of a sudden you can say that forced them to write an album that was genuinely a bit different, wasn't it?
I'm saying their music that wasn't written like that became a live band music, and I think it was basically the intention behind it. I think was just to make it more palatable, and that's why I don't think it sounds good.
Like the live interpretation of Eastern Jam, for example, don't really work. But the live interpretations of those album tunes that came out on the second album, they work. Yeah,
exactly. So it's all about how the tunes. So like the Kino thing is a good example. He's obviously an amazing pianist. Loads of tunes are piano based. Him playing piano on the tune live makes sense.
Yeah.
Rich,
I just think if it's done right, I'm here for it. But I guess a lot of the time it just doesn't hit hard enough when I've seen like
that's the other thing as well. Sonics and drum and
basses. We were just talking about in the previous episode, like how everything's like so loud, and it's like if you have a tune that's not quite as loud, again, it gets lost in the dance. If you're just someone coming on to do a live band after someone's done like a DJ set or whatever, you're automatically it's just not going to fuck it. Yeah, but I have seen. Like I guess like people do it with like hardware. Like I remember like Ice Cool did like an Under the Ice thing where he was doing a lot of the elements like live.
That's like live synths though, isn't it?
Yeah, so like I know that it's a different thing. I'm just sort of segueing into the fact that I would love to see more of that in
and I guess do it really well on their content.
They do it really well, yeah.
Yeah, that stuff's cool. But that makes sense because like the source material again is from the tune.
Yeah.
And actually how it was written rather than an interpretation, which doesn't always work, apart from the Outlook Orchestra, that works really well.
I guess it's a bit of an open-ended question with an open-ended answer.
Which is perfect for a podcast. There you go. Okay, same person. I don't know how we're going to answer this one, but what could be the 5 rising subgenres of D&B? I can only think of one off the bat, which is, I don't know what the subgenre is, but it's a sound or an aesthetic, which is kind of this similar 2008 Mala and like cokey dubstep sounds in drum and bass thing. And that, but again, that's not a cuss. I think I like some of what Similar does. But that's the closest I can describe it to. Like his bass sounds remind me of like cokey back in the day.
Yeah.
Very, do you know what I mean? Very similar, like wobs and like talking basses and stuff. I've noticed now since he's kind of made that a thing, other people have started using those sounds.
It feels
like the kind of
the comparison I always have in my head is that like if Simula's music feels very much like if Hazard and Perez like had a child. It's kind of like stripped back cokey. Minimal techie dubstep. Jump up. Like,
but I just think
sound
about
design
like Cokie and Mala back in the day. Think about those sounds, like that Mala Goblin tune, or Cokie Goblin tune, whatever, and then listen to a similar tune.
Yeah,
it's that aesthetic for me. Like 2009, 8, before Bro Step.
What would you call it then? What would you call this?
Era. That's a good era.
Yeah,
that's why I think Simula's kind of done something pretty cool there. He's brought like a you know what it reminds me of?
What subgenre is it called?
So, but you remember what I would call it? Yeah, is modern talking bass. Remember that one wavetable in Massive? How you made all them basses?
Yeah,
it's that basically in D&B. So anyone who's cracked a version of Massive back in 2009, you know what I'm talking about.
That Yoi bass.
Yeah, that Yoi bass. So I don't know what the subgenre would be called, but I see that sound being used by more people than Similar now, basically.
I've no idea how we would have.
Not five is hard. I would say.
I don't even know what's coming up really.
Yeah,
these days. I'm not. Even well, I mean, there's pretend to be there on the pulse.
There is a lot of. How would you call it? It's almost like it's like that auto-tune sort of sung rap,
mate. Honestly,
and that over like a really bland liquid beat, essentially, you know like a 2012 crap, like B-Tech liquid beat.
You've not heard this.
I've not heard this.
Right, how have you not heard this, bro? This is
you
what
don't want to hear
much of these majors are releasing right now.
You do not want to hear this. Honestly, you lot leave it fucking out.
Yeah.
Honestly,
pack it in, please.
You not see me post about my story. This is quite a while ago.
Just take the drum break out, and then put a hip hop beat in it and just call it what it is. Stop trying to taint this. Right?
You definitely, mate.
You know what we're on about, bro.
Like, and it's like
the tunes are super basic.
Yeah, it's the kind of like I don't even know what genre you'd call it if it wasn't drum and bass, but like
it's pop.
Yeah, it's like pop
rap.
It's just that. It's what my brother listens to.
Trying to make
really
it
odd.
Like, honestly, Jack, I'm so happy you brought this up so I can have a rant this episode.
Yeah,
that's awful.
Probably my biggest pet hate in drum and bass right now is that kind of lazy. It's fine if that's like a style, a way of writing music in that style and that subgenre of music originally, right?
Yeah.
But don't now bring that laziness of songwriting over to drum and bass.
D&B,
like, and then bring all the other characteristics that made your subgenre. They don't need to be over here, man.
You know what?
And I don't really know why people
really
into it.
It's an interesting answer to this question because I don't. This is not gonna like this. Better not get popular, otherwise I'm fucking off. Like, I swear down. I don't think I won't do it. Maybe that's an encouragement for everyone to actually just like start doing this so that I'll finally leave because. Honestly, it is awful, man. What is wrong with just why would you want to auto-tune your voice? Like that's the main beef I actually have with it. Why are we auto-tuning our voice unless you're singing? If you're singing, fair enough. You know, a bit of auto-tune, fine.
Drake, bloody Drake, Travis Scott, man.
The aesthetic is shit.
Okay, that's what it is. It's the Travis Scott
thing.
It
works in.
It doesn't even work.
No, it does. It does. I mean, it literally does.
Fair enough.
Like it literally does work.
Yeah, billions of people around the world definitely disagree with you and me on this, but it's just one of those production techniques. I just don't. It's not going to be missed if it never makes it into drum bass and it's made it into drum bass. But yeah, I can't think of any more of like up and coming genres. Those are two I can think of because there's one that I like, which is the similar sort of approach, and then one that I actively detest.
Oh my God.
But beyond that, those are the only two I can think of.
Yeah,
let's move on before I vomit.
Okay, so Lucid Sound, do you think something will ever disrupt the music industry, like he put in brackets, replace Spotify, not AI? So what do we think will disrupt the music industry?
I would love to say yes.
Dead internet. Dead internet theory.
What's that?
Dead internet theory is that, I mean, it does kind of involve AI, but because of AI and bots specifically, eventually social media will become overpopulated with bots and there will be more bots and AI on social media platforms than there will be real humans. Real humans will then stop using it, and therefore it will just become populated by bots and AI, right? Now, all of a sudden, how do artists actively promote themselves directly to punters? And I think that could be one massive disruptor to many creative industries, not just music, but I think it will have a huge impact on music.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that actually sounds quite beautiful.
So kind of like the opposite, every action has an opposite and equal reaction type vibe, where like there's so much AI and so much fakery now that the natural pushback is to go back to what we used to do before.
It's just like you've always got to get through the dystopia to get to the utopia.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
I'm totally here for it. That sounded great.
Yeah,
but I don't know what would that.
I think technology always disrupts itself at some point, so I do think there will be something that will take Spotify's lunch at some point. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
like think about like what would be a good example of that? Like Yahoo was the biggest search engine for ages, and they could have bought Google for 4 million. Now who are Yahoo? Look at Google. You know what I mean? Like every time something like that happens, like it might take 20 years, it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years, but the way we consume music, I honestly thought blockchain was going to have something for us, but I don't know if it is.
No.
Now I think the hype behind blockchain and crypto. The thing is funny,
crypto
has no use, but blockchain is super useful.
Crypto and blockchain are essentially just glorified games of hot potato.
No. Blockchain is really useful. Like blockchain could have revolutionized how we do sampling, how we do all of that stuff. Because what blockchain is it's an untamperable ledger, right? So, and in like the medical industry, blockchain could be really useful. Basically, it's like a way of preserving records. So, like if I bought this tune on the blockchain, it would say, okay, this song has contributions from this person, this person, this person, with samples, therefore they automatically get paid. Like I've really dumbed it down. There's way more to it, but like the way it should work would really work for music.
I mean, I'll take your word for it. You work in tech.
It would really work for music, but I honestly don't know what happened with that whole hype behind it. I think kind of crypto and all these meme coin things kind of killed the PR behind all of that stuff as a whole.
I think it really did. I mean, I tried to stay clued up with this stuff, and I was still getting the mistakes.
I don't care about crypto enough, but the tech behind it is so good. Like it's annoying in a way. So that would have been my shout, but I struggle to see that will happen now. I guess obviously with like 3D sound and things like that. Like I think, and obviously like Apple now, all their headphones are like spatially aware and all this stuff. Like there's technology changes that are gonna change. I don't know if it will completely disrupt it, but it will change how we listen to music.
I think
for sure.
We were talking about generative models with AI a couple of episodes ago. With how we thought that could overtake what we're doing as artists. Like, I don't necessarily think generative AI models are going to be the things that do it. I think it's going to be, like you said, it's these ease of access tools that AI are going to bring into the world where instead of needing something like Spotify, you would just ask ChatGPT built into your iPhone, play music like Galaxy. Play me nice vibey liquids, drum and bass. And it will just play you everybody and anybody, and it will sort out the things you like, and you won't have to do anything moving forward. But what that does mean is that there's going to be a private, hidden algorithm that dictates how and who is being shown what and for what reasons, and no one's ever going to be able to know why. I mean, Christ, we already don't really understand
Spotify. Than the Spotify algorithm, though.
It should be more, So in theory, it should be better, but also because it's way more private,
it's almost more scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost more scary because you don't know. It's a similar thing with Elon Musk when he bought X. He made his voice louder than everybody else's.
Yeah.
It's not a freedom of speech platform anymore if one person's got a megaphone.
Yeah.
And nobody else does. Do you know what I mean?
He's been listening to podcasts, hasn't he?
Yes, I have.
That was
but it's the same things. Like suddenly you could get one particular artist who's on a major paying a little bit, but that's always been the case, hasn't it? So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Good question, though.
Yeah, very good question.
All right, two more. Carl Hargreaves asked fave jungle tune ever. So the reason I was scrolling on my phone because I was like looking up. I got a lot of new jungle tunes, but I think my favorite old jungle tune is probably Remark, R.I.P. probably, just because I love the hook. R.I.P. Rest in peace. Like I just love that. That hook comes to mind every time I think about jungle.
When someone says the word jungle to me, without thinking of the bait tunes, what first comes to my head is Stray's remix of Foreign Beggars' Raise the Bar.
Oh, big tune.
Yeah, big tune. But that was the point where I went, that's a different take on jungle.
Yeah.
Like that was the first time for me, like I was still a bit young, still jungle. Getting into, but it was someone doing, it was taking like an old, it was a new school approach on an old school sound.
Yeah, that's why
even
I like
15, 20 years ago. Like
that's why I like Sully so much, because his whole
yeah,
sound is that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that Fives tune, unbelievable. Like, yeah. Like if it was two questions, like fave new jungle tune, fave old jungle, like 90s jungle, like Remark RIP, and then probably new jungle, like something from Sully, probably almost definitely.
Swan Dive.
Swan Dive.
Swan Dive's bad.
Or what's the other one? Crystal Cuts. Crystal Cuts, unbelievable tune. One of the most satisfying breaks with a phaser on it. Niche, I know, but if you listen to that tune, listen to the intro of that tune, there's this break.
You say that's niche, but
bro,
like,
but it's got this break with this phaser on it, yeah, and it's so, in the headphones, it's so satisfying.
my favourite breakage tune of all time is Lick Shots for Head Tops, which is that one with that super phasey laser in there, which
so you get it.
Mad tune.
Yeah,
mad
it's satisfying, man. I didn't even say a breakage tune to me. Yeah, I'm just gonna
Elmhurst dub.
I'm just gonna stick with my
that's
first
my
answers.
that's my modern jungle.
Yeah.
Banger.
Yeah, Elmhurst dub. I mean,
The
that
impossible
we need to
question.
do that thing that
Yeah. Patreoners. That's more of a reason to sign up to our Patreon,
more ideas
and we'll
for
give you
episodes.
bare snazzy playlists like this with all of our favourite tunes from certain
Oh yeah,
genres.
we should. Yeah. There's also
We'll do a jungle one next.
there's playlists for Patreon people.
I'm not sure mine even counts as jungle, but the one that springs to mind is like Heroes by Ronnie Size, but it definitely has like its jungle elements in it, and it's the era of jungle.
Funny
but
story,
it's
Ronnie
That's jungle,
Size.
isn't it?
fun.
Like me and one of my neighbours are on like the same schedule of like leaving the flat in the morning, so I always bump into her in the lift. And she's super sound, we chat all the time, and she knows I'm a DJ or whatever. But I don't think she ever knew I was a drum and bass
Does she know
DJ.
you're on a podcast?
She doesn't either. Maybe we talk a lot, like, and I see her in the coffee shop. I know her loads.
She'll be
Anyway,
like, oh, there's that dude from the podcast.
Anyway, she was asking me about like I was just in the lift with her again, and like she was asking me like, oh, like how was your weekend? I was like, oh yeah, I played a gig in Bristol, whatever. And she was like, oh, like, what did you play? Like, where did you play? I was like, oh, I played Motion, drum and bass. She was like, my godfather's from Bristol and is a drum and bass DJ. Ronnie Size. And I was just like, what? My godfather's Ronnie Size. Yeah, mad. Yeah. I was like,
so joke.
fair play. Yeah, sick. Yeah, sorry, Ronnie Size Heroes, you were saying.
Yeah, I reckon.
Good tune.
Just like my favourite tune from like, I was just thinking like old drum and bass tunes that were my favourites, and yeah, that's definitely up there.
Nice.
Sure.
Last question, Nick Nay or Nay? Nick Nay? I don't know. Would you ever be interested in composing music for a video game? I would. I don't think I'm good enough to. Well, I think it's a very new skill I'd have to learn, because it's not the same as doing what we do. I think it'd be a fun challenge though.
I
did actually compose a tune for. Not the same, but I composed a tune to a brief for a podcast like 2 months. I think I told you guys. I wrote a tune for a podcast, like a law podcast, like 2 or 3 months ago, and the brief was like make it sound like Succession, and like it was so fun. It was, and actually the tune in the end was really good, like because it met the brief. But like, I love writing things completely out of my comfort zone to a brief.
How did you get that?
The office I work in is like a co-working space. I'm friends with like this guy who's like the MD of this company that work with loads of law firms, and for one of them they're producing the podcast, and he was like, can you make this tune an intro song?
Do you know that's a question for Glenn AI?
Yeah,
not like, is it not, it's a subject to go into
that's a whole subject for them.
I was talking to, I cannot remember who I was talking to about this a good couple of years ago, and it was like one of them ones in a green room where the conversation went on for hours, because it was genuinely fascinating. And it was someone I hadn't seen.
Noisy, they do a lot of game stuff, don't they?
Yeah, well, it was someone I hadn't seen in a really long time. And they hadn't been writing any music, and they hadn't been on the circuit because they'd been doing loads of
I had the same
composing for
as well.
games.
Yeah.
And I said to them, I was like, is it that lengthy of a... And he was like, yeah, I was working on this one game for 10 months. Because when you write the music for it, it's not just on a technical front from the like structure and arrangement of the music, but everything you do, you have to bear in mind that at any given point, this song needs to be able to switch up just randomly.
Yeah.
Because of the actions of the player.
Enemies come in or whatever.
Yeah, so this music needs to fluently be able to go from super chilled to super dramatic really quickly and not feel disjointed. And I sat there just being like,
how'd you do that?
How do you even do it? And I've for a year, bruv, I've sat there playing games going like,
Like deep
noticing it changes and go, what happened though? I missed it. What happened? What did they do to make that so seamless? And you can't just recreate it either. And so it is really challenging to even begin to comprehend how you do that. And
that's what I mean. It's a whole it's a whole new skill set.
Like rating people who do that.
And that's the other thing as well. Like,
I'd love to give it a go.
When you're writing, and the podcast we just recorded, we were talking about this a lot. Like when you're writing drum and bass, you have the rules of drum and bass drilled into you so much about like structure and bars and that. And we have to remember with other genres and other other things is like not all of that applies. So getting out of that, this is why, as I always say to new producers, like just write other music, listen to other music as much as you can, because other structures exist other than 16 bar, 16 bar, 16 bar.
The more you'll listen to, the less restricted you will be as a writer.
And that when you want to then come to do that stuff, you realize that that's really one of the most, like, arrangement and structure is so different for other things. So would love to do it, but yeah, I know for a fact I would need to just put some hours into doing that specifically, basically.
You'd like the paycheck from it as well.
I love the money for it as well. Yeah. So that was actually the last question.
Sweet.
Good question.
Yeah. Means I'll actually make my train home. Fantastic.
It is.
News.
So yeah, quick fire one. Lots more content coming. Yeah. Follow us on all the normal places. Subscribe. See you next time.
Peace.
Peace. Bye.